I watched the man who salutes. He wears the uniform of his nation. It's military, formal, full of proud colors with medals on his chest. He is a man of pride. I look closer. He dips once, now twice. He has been here a long time. He holds his salute. He fights the pain. There is more to do here. He will not falter. He will not stop. He is standing for something and for someone. Unseen, but always present. He is a man of pride. But more importantly, he is a man who remembers. He cares and will not forget the others. Those other men, like him, and he salutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today for USAA's Memorial Day ceremony, Courage to Persevere. Please welcome Nashville recording artist and the 2008 Inspirational Country Music Songwriter of the Year, Russ Murphy, singing That's What Freedom Costs.
Little girl in Cincinnati, wishing that her daddy could be there. She's an angel in the Christmas play. Mama fixes up her hair. And Daddy's fighting for a country far from home, so they'll have to read about it on the telephone. 'Cause that's what freedom costs, a price that's paid by families who put roses on the grave, from those who wear the wounds of war to the soldiers we have lost. Yeah, that's what freedom costs. Yeah, that's what freedom costs. A single mom in Houston praying that her son be alright, holds his picture to her chest, but she won't get much rest tonight. My baby's only 21 years old. Dear God, I'm so afraid my blue star will turn gold. 'Cause that's what freedom costs, a price that's paid by families who put roses on a grave, from those who wear the wounds of war to the soldiers we have lost. Well, that's what freedom costs. Man, wife, and Flagstaff look at photographs of their wedding day. He was such a handsome man. Now there's burns and scars on this warrior's face. to her, now tell me what you see. She says, Susan, you're still beautiful to me. That's what freedom costs, the price that's paid by families who put roses on a grave. From those who wear the wounds of war to the soldiers we have lost. That's what freedom, that's what freedom costs. That's what freedom costs.
Our hosts for this year's Memorial Day ceremony are USAA employees Sandy and Lewis Parker. They both come from Phoenix, where Sandy is retired as a non-injury manager with 24 years of service in our Sacramento office. Lewis has been with USAA for 27 years and serves as a physical damage specialist in our Phoenix office. Lewis is also an Air Force veteran. Let's give them both a warm welcome today.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
We welcome all of you here at USAA and across the country in our regional offices, and a special hello to our friends in Phoenix. Also, to all of you who join us on worldwide Pentagon Channel, we offer a sincere welcome. We're happy to have you with us. And let me take a moment to thank Russ Murphy once again for that fine opening number. And a special note, the gentleman in our opening salute is former Marine Staff Sergeant Tim Chambers. Tim has rendered his salute now for 10 Memorial Days, and he joins us here today. Tim, rise and be recognized. Thank you, Tim, for your moving gesture and your service.
As your hosts today, Lewis and I feel a special obligation to be here and participate in a ceremony highlighting Memorial Day means more than we can say.
Of course, this day is meant to remember those who have given their lives in service to our country. There have been many, many service members remembered over the years, with the United States informally beginning such honors dating back to the 1860s, as you may note on our battlefield memorials.
But since 1971, it has been an official national observance, with full honors richly deserved. The two of us are painfully but proudly qualified to lead this ceremony today. We lost our son, Tech Sergeant Christopher M. Soulsby, this time last year, the Thursday before Memorial Day. Excuse me. Christopher and 6 other U.S. soldiers were killed in action in Afghanistan by 2 powerful, remotely detonated bombs as they were working to clear a weapons cache.
Explosive Ordnance Disposal, EOD, is a very dangerous assignment. But Christopher loved his work, and he did it with great pride. He saved many lives by defusing bombs over the years and was on his 3rd combat tour after 11 years of service. He was 32 years old and left behind a loving wife and family. We think of him every day, and we always will.
Yes, we always will. Our program today is Courage to Persevere. We will speak of courage and of perseverance today. The military, at its core, exemplifies both. Now, let us honor the flag. Our national anthem will be sung today by Angie Johnson. Let us honor the flag. Please rise as you are able.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated. Thank you, Angie. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Angie Johnson, one of our musical guests today. Angie is a member of the Missouri Air National Guard and has deployed 7 times to entertain our troops overseas. She is best known for a video of her singing in Afghanistan that was posted to YouTube and went viral. That in turn led to appearances on the NBC hit program The Voice this season. Angie will be back with us a little later, and we look forward to it. Our theme today, Courage to Persevere, can be looked at from many points of view. We think it highly appropriate because we see it in our service members, their families, and in our own organization, which celebrates its 90th anniversary this year. All have persevered.
Perseverance is also witnessed on an individual level, as seen by former Marine Staff Sergeant Chambers in his salute. On a family level with Commander Cho's family, and on a community level with towns like Smithville, Texas. We look forward to sharing these stories with you later in the program.
But first, a word about our stage. Today it represents 5 distinct eras of America's military with the battlefield memorials that honored the fallen in the field. These battlefield memorials, while unofficial, remain prevalent in remembering and honoring our war dead. To give you some history on them, let's recall that on the Civil War battlefields, those killed in action were being sent home for burial for the first time. The bodies had to be marked for removal with a marker that was convenient. That would be their rifle. The helmet and dog tags came to signify the soldier. The inverted rifle with bayonet signals a time for prayer, a break in the action to pay tribute to the fallen. And finally, the boots came to represent the final march to the last battle.
That is a brief explanation of the symbols. But first and foremost, we are here to remember all of the men and women who have fallen in service to our country. Their sacrifice and the suffering of their families cannot be measured and cannot be taken lightly. It is hard to hold it up, examine it, and know that such service was given on our behalf for all of us. It is the highest gift one can give, and it humbles us all. These men and women exemplify the best that our nation has to offer, and their memories must live on with all of us. Let us endeavor to make sure that that happens. The word sacrifice is heard often as we speak of our heroes. Certainly, it is a common thread throughout all of their stories. And having the courage to persevere is worthy of remembering. These memories burn brightly in tiny Smithville, Texas.
Patriotism to our country means everything to a small town.
In Smithville, folks often take time to reflect on our veteran service to the nation. There's no distracting city bustle, and many of those veterans are kin.
Their family members in the military has done so much for their freedoms. It's a small, quiet town where you can still walk across town, and those freedoms are important to us.
When something happens to somebody, it happens to everybody. Smithville as a whole is a family.
Lucille's oldest brother, Donald, was killed in Vietnam in 1968. His body was finally recovered and returned to Smithville just 8 years ago.
In 2004, when we buried Donald, it was awesome. The way the community came together for us, welcoming home one of not just our family member, but a member of their extended family too.
18 months later, another fallen soldier returned home to Smithville from Iraq.
Probably one of the toughest speaking engagements I've ever had was to speak at her funeral.
3 years passed and another Smithville High grad was brought home from Afghanistan.
About the middle of his junior year, I think, is when he decided he was going to go into the military, and he had something to strive for that he was going to make happen.
Less than 4 months later, the students of Smithville High would stand with their town to receive a third recent classmate.
All the students from the high school were standing out on the roadside. And one of his friends told us it's not how many people Cody knew, it's how many people knew Cody.
Made me proud. Just made me a proud dad.
When Cody passed, it hit home really hard, and it felt like, okay, that could have been my brother, and you just hoped and prayed it wouldn't be us one day.
In just 7 months, it was. 3 of Rosalva's brothers had enlisted out of high school. The oldest, Mario, was killed in Afghanistan in June 2010.
When we buried Sergeant Rodriguez, I was presenting a flag to the young widow and giving a small talk about the service to the country. You know, and having to do that 3 times within a year was tough. That experience kind of got us to thinking, what should we do, you know?
What the mayor and his town did was to undertake the building of a park, a place of closure for a proud but wounded community, a place to honor the fallen from all our wars, to tell their stories, to teach the young, and to nurture the future. A place for both remembrance and play.
And that's the way it should be. They're not going to be forgotten. The younger generation can come and see this, you know, not just from the Iraq and Afghanistan war. This is going to be, you know, Vietnam, Korea, and the world wars and everything. And I think the younger generation needs to know that.
We do take pride in our relationships with our kids and our students. Each and every one of those kids, I can tell you a story about, and we take it personal when they don't come back home, so we think we owe them that.
Everyone has a veteran in their life. Everyone has a story, and some of them have chose either through death to let that pass. What we're trying to get them to do is relive the importance of their loved one's service to the country.
There is a passion in the mayor for his town and its veterans, a very personal pride for those that have served from one who did not.
This is very much a labor of love of Mayor Mark. This is his baby.
I think it's Mark's way of serving, of doing his service, maybe even beyond Smithville.
You know, every day when we have a moment of silence, I've got those 4 names on the wall up there, and they're there so that I do remember and that our kids do remember, and they're still going into the military, you know, so I still think there's a sense of duty. And whether that comes from a small community or not, I'm not sure. I think it does, though.
They knew these people. They knew them as a different individual, and then they looked at him in a military uniform, and many of them looked at him in his casket. I think that's a strong story. I think that's something that they'll always remember in their mind, that hopefully they'll tell to their children. You know, because conflict will always be with us, we know that. But there'll always be a small town soldier, a small town military personnel around the world defending our freedoms. And that's what I'm so proud of. Country calls, we answer, whether we're small or not.
Smithville, Texas, a story like many others, sad in what happened, but courageous in their response. As a matter of note, Smithville has the highest killed in action per capita of any city in America during the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. Joining us are the mayor of Smithville, Texas, the Honorable Mark Bunty and his wife Becky, the family of Mario Rodriguez, his parents Rita and Mario Sr. and his sister Rosalva, and the parents of Cody Stanley, Wendy, and Robert. Please rise and be recognized.
As we continue, let us take a moment and hear from U.S. Air Force Brigadier General retired Dana Simmons. Dana serves now as USAA's Senior Vice President of Corporate Services. Prior to joining USAA in 2010, he served for 33 years in a variety of commands within the Air Force, and last served as the commander of the Air Force Office of Special Investigations. While often recognized during his career, Dana also recently received the very rare National Intelligence Superior Service Medal for his outstanding service and lasting contributions to the intelligence community and the nation over a sustained period. This medal is awarded only when appropriate on a highly selective basis. We are pleased to have him here with us today, ladies and gentlemen. Join me in welcoming Brigadier General Dana Simmons.
Thanks, Louis.
Welcome to USAA's commemoration of a very special American holiday. Memorial Day. I would like to also extend a welcome to the soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, Coast Guardsmen, DoD civilians, and all those watching on the Pentagon Channel. And a special welcome to our distinguished guests, wounded warriors, families, and survivors. Your presence today here truly honors us. As you heard a few minutes ago, Memorial Day has been set aside so that we may honor the sacrifices of our fallen soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Coast Guardsmen that gave their life in the line of duty. We know when a service member serves, so too does the family in their own way. When a service member falls, so too does the family. Memorial Day is for them too. As a former military commander, I have not only witnessed firsthand the selfless service and sacrifice of our fallen, but I have also seen the courage, the strength, and the resolve of the families that were left behind. Let me tell you one story which I'm familiar with. A routine mission was dispatched from the Green Zone with the usual intense security and extensive precautions. Air Force Office of Special Investigations, or OSI, Special Agent Daniel Kuhlmeyer was one of the agents assigned to this mission. Shortly after leaving the Green Zone, a vehicle-borne IED rammed the small convoy, and it exploded right next to the vehicle that Dan Kuhlmeyer was riding in. The resulting explosion immediately killed the Army National Guard driver and Special Agent Daniel Kuhlmeyer. Notifications to the family were done according to strict protocol. Back in Northern Virginia, where Dan's family temporarily relocated while he was deployed, there was that dreaded knock on the door. Within a few short hours of receiving that horrible and dreaded knock on the door, Tanya, Dan's wife, reached out to his home unit at Offutt Air Force Base in Nebraska. And she passed on a very short but very powerful message to the unit commander. In essence, she said, "Honor my husband's sacrifice. Do not get bogged down in self-pity." Dan felt the mission he was supporting in Iraq was extremely important. He believed he was serving where he was needed most. Then she ended by saying, "Now honor my husband's sacrifice and get back to your important work." Special Agent Daniel Kuhlmeyer served our country in a time of need. His sacrifice served the cause of freedom. We cannot forget what Daniel Kuhlmeyer did for us. We cannot take his sacrifice lightly. Tanya's words helped pull a unit back together, gave it focus, and gave it strength. She inspired an entire command. Perhaps Tanya's words are a good reminder for us all on how and why we should honor the sacrifice of our fallen soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Coast Guardsmen, and all those who have fallen in the defense of our country. On this, our American Memorial Day. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I am now pleased to be able to introduce to you our keynote speaker for today, J.R. Martinez. Many of you may know J.R. from his many appearances on national television, most notably as Brought Monroe on ABC's Emmy Award-winning daytime drama, All My Children. Then perhaps more recently, as the champion of ABC's Dancing with the Stars, Season 13. J.R. and his partner, Karina Smirnoff, danced very compellingly and won the Mirrorball Trophy. But perhaps most important thing you need to know about J.R. is he is a new father of a 3-week-old baby girl. These accomplishments only touch briefly on the success that J.R. has achieved.
J.R. Martinez had dreams of professional football as a strong safety for the Dalton Catamounts high school football team. An injury dashed his NFL aspirations, so he joined the Army as an infantryman in the 101st Airborne Division. Soon after, he deployed to Iraq. A month later, the Humvee J.R. was driving struck a landmine. He was critically injured, suffering severe burns to more than 40% of his body. The road to recovery took 33 surgeries. As he recovered at Fort Sam Houston, a nurse asked him to speak to a burn patient who had seen his own body for the first time and had become withdrawn. After a 45-minute visit from J.R., the patient opened the curtains and let the light in. J.R. found his calling. He is a highly sought motivational speaker. He starred on daytime television, and last November he won ABC's Dancing with the Stars. Since being crowned, he served as the Grand Marshal of the Tournament of Roses Parade. And he is here today as a portrait of perseverance.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Martinez.
Good morning to everybody. Good morning. I feel like Justin Bieber in a mall signing, you know? Like 4 rows up, and it's like, hey, good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? It's like I'm gonna crook in my neck from like looking up at every single one of you. Hi. And all of you back there as well, and all of you watching from wherever you are. It really is a pleasure to be back here in San Antonio today on this special occasion to remember. And at the same time, to be here in San Antonio, where I spent 2.5 years recovering and where I was given a second chance at life, and where a lot of other service members and their families start their road to recovery, a difficult one. It's a pleasure for me to be here. It's because I, too, like a lot of people, am a member of USAA. So, kind of cool. So I'm covering all categories here, right? Making sure I'm good, make sure I get out of here alive. Because I'm gonna say, unfortunately, I'm not a Spurs fan, even though they're doing great. See, that's where it was coming. Sorry, just saying. But I'll root for them, just not the biggest fan. But anyways, it really is a pleasure to be here and to talk about service. Service is a very special word that everybody has been mentioning throughout this whole program. Service is a word that on this weekend, a lot of people, unless you have a connection, have a tendency to not really understand the meaning of it. When barbecue grills come out, when people go to the store and buy a lot of groceries or buy their favorite beverage and get ready to plan, you know, a weekend out with their friends and their family and enjoy whatever it is that, you know, they're doing, wherever they live, the beach, you know, whatever it may be. The one thing that happens is people tend to forget. We live in a nation where 1 minute it's in our vision and the next minute it's not. But one thing about service that I learned in 2003 when I woke up in San Antonio, Texas, here at Brooke Army Medical Center. And I saw my face and I saw my body and I thought to myself, what exactly is the purpose of all of this? What exactly am I gonna do now? I'm 19 years old and I wanted to do all these things with my life. How will I be able to do those things? But the one thing that I learned when I had the opportunity to visit that young man that was in the hospital going through the same thing that I was going through, but I had gone through it 6 months, I had already been in it for 6 months, is that I realized that service continues. Service does not end because all of a sudden you're wounded. Service doesn't end because all of a sudden, unfortunately, you're killed in action. Service doesn't end when all of a sudden the time that you committed to the military, whatever branch that you're in, all of a sudden is up. And I continue to find that way, that how service can continue in my life and how it can continue for all of those that I came in contact with for the rest of my life, because I was given a second chance. And I understood, as we've seen a lot of families here, that not everyone gets that second chance. You know, my new uniform, as I say this all the time, are my scars. My new weapon is not an M16 anymore. My new weapon are my words. My new weapon is my experience. And it's important for me to be able to go out there and be a voice and use the platform that I have earned, but at the same time have been given, to go out there on a very special weekend and remind everybody that's out there enjoying potato salad, sweet tea, favorite beverage, or maybe in the pool somewhere, that today, that this weekend is not just about that. It's not about enjoying the day off that we get. It's about remembering and honoring and appreciating those that never made it home. And also honoring and applauding those family members that have to live with this for the rest of their lives. As we move on with our life, they don't. But to also remember all of those dating back to 1865 until today that have paid that price as well. And at the same time, to those men and women and those families that have been wounded in action, that are finding ways to get back up on their feet, whether it's because their legs have been amputated, or whether it's because they've been in a hospital bed for 3 months in a medically induced coma, whatever it may be, trying to find a way to continue, trying to find a way to persevere. It's important for everybody to understand that these individuals are, that's why they say 1% of our nation's population serve in our military. Because these individuals and these families are born with just that something extra that a lot of people don't understand and they don't have. The great thing that I've learned in my 9 years since my injury is that this country is a grateful country. And this country has learned how to get it right and how to understand how to separate the political view from the service member that wears that uniform. I'm honored to see, as I travel this country, as I travel this world, to see people say we support all our men and women, and whatever we can do to help them understand that the courage that they had when they wore the uniform and they went to Iraq or Afghanistan or wherever they went to serve this country proudly, that they still have that courage inside of them to continue to live life and find a way to find a new platform and to go on this new journey that they're about to embark on. I have learned that, and I like to say this, that I believe that the scars on my face give me the opportunity to put a face to things. And I want to be an example, one of the many examples that is out there, of how no matter what it is that we go through, no matter what it is that we experience, that every single service member can continue to live their life. May not go on the same plan or go on to achieve the same dream that they had, but they can find new ones and they can accomplish those things. Whether you're listening to a song written by an individual that's very talented, or a beautiful young lady that has an amazing voice that also serves in our military. Whether it's hearing a story of a family member that unfortunately lost their loved one, a mayor that steps up and says, you know what, a population of 3,800, but these 3,800 people are going to support these individuals strongly. Whether you're an employee of this amazing, amazing company, whoever you are, whatever you are, please understand that you too serve, that you too can have a service, but it's up to you to understand and know exactly what that is. And it's up to you to learn and understand how you can continue to serve, not only for yourself, but for those individuals that serve in this amazing military. Give these individuals the platform. Allow them to understand that every single platform that is given to them is just a springboard full of opportunity and full of chances for them to go out there and be all that they can be. Because at the end of the day, all we want to do is to provide, is to be independent, is to be able to do what's right, and to be those individuals that at the end of the day, you know you can count on us. Thank you to every single person around the world that is watching for your amazing service, to your family members as well, to the individuals here today that have worn their uniform, that continue to wear that uniform, to every single one of you that is here today waiting for Justin Bieber to sign your something. Thank you as well, because the one thing I appreciate about USAA is that I know living in Los Angeles and I can call and know that I'm going to get that one-on-one, just the amazing amount of love and support, and they're just going to walk me through everything that I need to be walked through. I probably talked to somebody here at one point in time. You're like, that was his voice. It's been an amazing journey since, 9 years ago, being in a hospital bed over at Brooke Army Medical Center and looking out the window, and all I can see was I-35 and, where the San Antonio Spurs play, and see downtown and see the Tower USA. And to now be out here and to come back and try to inspire those individuals that live in this community to understand that there's a reason why they call San Antonio, Texas, Military City. Continue to support our individuals through whatever program it is that you support. It really was a pleasure for me to be here, and I wish every single one of you an amazing weekend, but at the same time, as you enjoy everything that you do every single day, please remember those individuals that have paid the ultimate price. And please remember those individuals that continue to pay a price as they find ways to move on with their life. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
JR, thank you so much for those inspiring words. Ladies and gentlemen, we now move to the ceremonial part of our program. Service banners have traditionally shown that families had one or more members in the military. Blue stars depicting those serving in a time of conflict, and gold stars depicting those who have been lost in that service. As an organization, we have both blue and gold stars. So today, we will receive our banner with both blue and gold stars present. We will post it with our military flag display. It will later be displayed at our main entrance to be part of our ongoing remembrance. Jonathan Velasquez is a USAA employee and a captain in the Texas Army National Guard who recently returned from Iraq. He will post the banner. After our traditional moment of silence, USAA will be honored to be one of the first organizations to display a military service banner.
At this time, ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you join employees at USAA as we observe a moment of silence in remembrance of those who have fallen in service to our country. Please stand.
Captain Velasquez, attention! Forward, march!
Thank you. Please be seated.
As we have posted the service banner for our organization with both the blue and the gold star, let us pause now and meet one of our gold star families. I speak of the Cho family and the story of a loved one lost.
Squiggly lines. To watch 6-year-old Kristen Cho draw her family.
This is Daddy, this is me, and this is Mommy.
You wouldn't know she's among the hundreds of children in the U.S. who's lost a parent serving in Iraq or Afghanistan. Only 3 years old when tragedy struck Kristen's family, she clings to the best and happiest memories. Her mother, Navy Lieutenant Florence Pecan Cho, is buried at Fort Rosecrans National Cemetery in San Diego.
I hand the rocks to you and you do.
Okay, deal.
Kristen's father, Navy Lieutenant Commander Jay Cho, is part of a changing landscape. While the burden of moving on when a spouse is killed in action almost always falls on women, there's a new trend: fathers raising children without their spouse.
I definitely hurt because I know how much joy both Florence and Kristen would have had, and how dynamic the two would have been.
Jay was a Naval Academy graduate, training to be a doctor. They met in Bethesda, Maryland, after Florence joined the Navy following 9/11.
I could tell she's a very, very driven individual, very beautiful.
Married June 2004, they were relocated to Okinawa, Japan. 2 years later, baby Kristen arrived.
Oh, as a mom, she was wonderful. She always held her, no matter what she was doing.
The Cho family returned to California. Both worked at the Naval Medical Center, San Diego. But Lieutenant Cho wanted to do more for her country. She volunteered to get a medical station up and running in Afghanistan.
She was out jogging the perimeter with her and her colleagues. There was a guard at the perimeter, an Afghan guard, and so when that group of folks were running the perimeter, he shot Kim LaBelle, one of the nurses, as well as Florence, and it was my wife that was on the ground. and he shot her again while she was on the ground. I was working at the hospital. They said, Jay, Florence was shot and she was killed. The first few things I said was no. I can't be. No, it's not supposed to happen this way. I immediately thought about Kristen. I'm going to tell Kristen that, that mommy's dead. Kristen, get a big hug. When I look at Kristen, that's where I get my courage. That's why we serve. That's why Flo served. That's where we get the courage, is really for our future. I think Florence was a very dynamic woman. She was very proud of serving her country. When I look around Memorial Day and I see, I see the family picnics and the barbecues, I find comfort in seeing families enjoy Memorial Day. I think it's why we serve. It's why Florence went. It's why she had the courage to serve overseas. To persevere is to live each day and to know that there will be another day. I think she'd be very proud of us. I think she'd be so proud of Kristen. And I think she'd say, honey, you're doing a great job, and keep it up.
As we remember the sacrifice of Lieutenant Florence Cho and the ongoing courage of her immediate family, we are sorry that Commander Cho and Kristen could not be with us today, but let us acknowledge Florence's family members who are present. Her parents, Navy Petty Officer retired Rufino Bakong and his wife Francisca, also her brother Ruffy Bakong. Please rise and be recognized.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first toils and snares I have already come. 'Twas grace that brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see.
Thank you, Angie. Lewis, I think we've done our part this day. We've tried to hold close and remember the meaning behind this special day of remembrance, Memorial Day.
Yes. Folks, do what you can to carry it forward. Thank you for joining us, and please have a safe weekend.